Hi all, good morning. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. Welcome to the Cincinnati Green Building Tour Series, which is hosted by USGBC Ohio and Chuck Laurie of Green Cincinnati, and is sponsored by the Sustainability Partnership of Cincinnati, First National Bank, Cincinnati Modern, HVAC Design Partners, Solar Energy Solutions, and Third Sun Solar. Thank you all. So a quick look at today's agenda. We'll do a little housekeeping. We'll ask you to introduce yourself in the chat box. Please add your name, affiliation, and location. For best viewing, you might want to hide non-video participants. And we do ask that you remain with your camera off and muted during the presentations. If you have any questions during the conversation, please do enter it into the chat and Chuck will be moderating those. And we'll follow up with a recording of the session as well. So as I mentioned, please do mute yourself, turn off your camera, and that's to conserve bandwidth and make a more pleasant tour. Introduce yourself in the chat, post your questions in the chat box, and again, I'll be following up. So a quick overview of USGBC Ohio. My name is Mary Ellen Etienne. I'm the Community Director of USGBC Ohio as well as USGBC Indiana. And we're so pleased to work with you to learn more about the green buildings in the Cincinnati area. And we're so pleased to offer this virtually. So we have visitors from all over the East North Central region. So really thrilled to have you here. So USGBC is changing the way buildings and communities are designed, built, and operated. And a little bit about the community here in Ohio. We work together to advance green building in the state. We have well over 4,000 LEED certified projects in Ohio with over 150 million square feet. Our top two bragging rights is that we're #1 globally in LEED certified schools and that we're #7 nationally in LEED homes. And that's thanks in part to a leadership of the city of Cincinnati and their tax abatement program, which we'll learn more about today. Now I'll pass it over to our tour host, Chuck Laurie, and he'll tell us more about our partners.
Well, thank you, Mary Ellen. These Green Home Tours are sponsored by some companies in the region that offer products and services for green building. First National Bank, they have special loan incentives. And Cincinnati Modern Realtors, David Smith is a specialist in green homes and can help sell the features of those properly. Greenbow is Steve Hampton and Tony Beck. We toured Steve's home on Walnut Street, full service design build. Green Building Consulting, James Warden's with them, and he's talking about this home today. Every LEED home needs a green rater. And then this is my company. I do commercial LEED documentation. And Jeremy Begley's HV Design Partners. He does design for HVACs, increasingly important. Julian Gardner is One Small Garden. They make things out of the native cedars here in Ohio, flower beds and chicken coops. Solar Energy Solutions is a very predominant solar installer in the region. And then Third Sun Solar also is a sponsor. They install a lot of systems in the region. So we're here today to go view the Bungie residence. I was fortunate to tour this home and meet with Janet Bungie in 2019, and I was really fascinated by it. Janet really took the lead on this home. It impressed me as one that the homeowner designed. Janet worked with Mike Wentz, the architect, and Aubrey Welsh, the interior designer, and I wrote the article. You can go access it on the link there. So, you know, what did Frank Lloyd Wright have to do with this home? Well, this home is the outside becomes inside, and this is shown from the siding. This is the beautiful amphitheater view out there, back patio. And then IM Pay, believe it or not, there's an Oculus that goes down. It was perfectly aligned center midday when I took this photograph. That's not a photo on the wall. It's actually the sunlight coming in. And then, and I'm sorry, that was Louis Kahn's influence. And then, so IM Pei's influence on the home was that really reflects the homeowner's interest and their aesthetics. The architects and designers really brought Janet's vision to life. And As Cast Concrete was something that Janet and Joe saw at the Zaha Hadid building downtown and incorporated it into the home. And then Aubrey Welsh and helped use Annabelle Zeldorf's natural textures and materials to incorporate those textures and materials from the neighborhood. And unfortunately, Janet passed away in November of last year. So I'd really like this presentation to be a tribute to her and the manifestation of her beautiful design. So I'd like to introduce Joe Bungie. He's going to walk us through these slides that they did, the beautiful photography of their home. I mean, this was.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Joe, we can hear you.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to share the passion that was represented in this house. It came through. I mean, Janet lived it and breathed it for several years. It started in 2016. We had trips to Phoenix to see Frank Lloyd Wright's residence there, West Taliesin. And then we spent some time in San Diego and got familiar with architectural ideas. And then from that point, Janet worked with a clean sheet of paper with Mike Wentz and Aubrey to ultimately establish the priorities for the home, try to make it align with the warmth of the Hyde Park community with the use of shakes and other wood details.
Go ahead to the next slide.
So there you go. So you can kind of see how it all flows together in that arena. We can kind of go through these pretty rapidly.
Change them every 10 seconds.
Okay. The boxes became a on-site design. I mean, it was done by our general contractor, Jim Bronzy, and I literally just kind of worked together to come up with that. This is a front entry of the home. These are pieces that Aubrey assembled and put together with Janet's assistance. That's the front door. It's a beautiful door that came from Dallas. We love the manufacturer, and it still remains a perfect fixture in the door in the home. That represents the ocular feature that Chuck had mentioned earlier. That's essentially the decor wall that rolls from the first floor all the way to the third floor ceiling with the skylight.
So it's like living in a sundial.
This is the kind of the view from the entry into the living space. Obviously open design and a lot of glazing throughout that part along. That applies to the entire home, but certainly you can see it here. This is cool because if you look in the backyard, effectively we've got a grading change from the north to the south. And our goal, or at least Janet's goal, was to make it a footprint, a flat surface, so that we could maximize the living space in the rear yard. And so that was accomplished by putting retaining walls all around the back of the yard. And then of course the front, you can kind of see the planting boxes that kind of follow that. Of course, this is a rear yard. It's paradise here. So, you know, when we purchased this lot, it was with the objective of having the sprawling rear golf course view, which kind of extends something unique in the Hyde Park community. There's not a lot of properties that open up into a green space like that. So when it became available, we wanted it. pretty badly. So this is the rear. You can kind of see the flow of the patios, living space on the lower level with the patio off of the first floor, and then the master bedroom is the second, and then the guest suite is upstairs on the third floor. This is a dining room. The dining room was kind of a fixture piece that came with us from our home in Indian Hill. It was kind of like, I know Aubrey knows this, since the intent was, hey, this table has to come with us and we need a space for it because family and social gatherings were critical to Janet. And so this dining room was designed for another residence that we had in Indian Hill, and it was critical that it became integrated into this home. Again, another shot of the living room.
Just a beautiful
Essentially-
amphitheater view.
Yeah, there you go. Again, perfect marble. It only took us 3 tries to get it right. I think the marble supplier and countertop people probably hated us at the end of the project, but once it was done as is beautiful. It is completely beautiful. Again, the waterfall island is perfect with the Saarinen chairs, not the Saarinen chairs, sorry, the Turner chairs. That's the workstation. My son has taken a lot of pride. He's an art dealer owner in New York, and he's curated most of the works that are in the home today. This is the catwalk off of the master bedroom. You can kind of see obviously the stairs. Elevator is the first door on the right here. The stairwell was an incredible architectural detail that was also ended up being very complicated. Oh, our master bedroom. Aubrey had a lot to do with it. The wallpaper is amazing, and the customized bed and a nightstand arrangement is beautiful. And then you've got the patio going off of the master bedroom out onto the open space of the golf course with a fireplace. This is the front patio on the master bedroom as well. And have coffee out front in the morning or in the back. Another view of the home, the master bedroom. The fireplace is surrounded by a plaster product that was installed by a craftsman out of Chicago. He did a fantastic job. Master bedroom, we have curbless shower, full wood throughout the entire residence. I think James can speak to this, but the wood that's here is from Tennessee, finished on site, used all the right products from a VOC standpoint. All the fixtures in the bathroom are all low flow. You can see multiple heads in the shower, but really you can only use one at a time. Oh, there it is. There's a shower. You can skip it. That's fine. That's the sitting room on the first floor. Looking out over the open space of the golf course that's in the backyard. This is the image of where we are on the third floor, looking towards the front of the home, and that's the catwalk leading to the stairwell down. This is the third floor, a family room for our guests. It is then followed by a patio out the back with a table and chairs. This is a bedroom number 4. This is bedroom number 3. This is our little third floor bar. Need our guests to feel comfortable. This is the bathroom on the third floor. Then if you kind of watch the shower, again, it's a curbless shower with a tile throughout the bathroom and just flows braided right into the shower area. So this is a back kitchen. One of the aspects of the design was critical for Janet because she liked to host events, and when you've got people there helping you, you'd rather them do most of the work out of sight for the most part. So this is kind of behind the main area of the kitchen, where all of the cleaning and prep work can be done kind of out of sight. This is my office. This is also on the master floor. Again, kudos. These are all design elements that were brought over from Aubrey. This is our first floor powder room, floor to ceiling tile. Again, low flow toilet. This is the lower level entry from the garage to the elevator, kind of the mudroom receiving area to the stairwell, and it kind of transitions into an area that includes a gym and a fourth bedroom in the lower level. And this is again the bathroom in the lower level, curbless shower, and a low flow toilet. This is our laundry room. This is on the master floor. The garage is equipped with multi-power options. In this case, this is not a full EV, but just a hybrid with a 120. And then as we turn around the corner, the garage is prepped for a 220 full EV charging system. Don't have that today, but the garage is fully prepared for the eventuality of us getting that vehicle. Landscaping, I think it would be great if the designer was here today, but the effective strategy, and I think James can speak to this as he looks through his checklist, this particular design is predicated on plant designs that don't require a lot of water, and that's critical to the LEED certification. I'll turn it over to James.
All right, can you guys all hear and see me okay?
Yeah.
Great. Technical issues, hopefully not, but well, welcome everybody. My name is James with Green Building Consulting. First, a little bit about us. We were the LEED for Homes provider for this job. And shortly what that is those are direct companies that work with USGBC. They are trained by USGBC and USGBC monitors them. There's only about, I think, 40 in the country. Why that's important is we are the most developed in terms of research and education and how to get projects through LEED certification. Also, why it's important, those programs, LEED for Homes, requires more people than just LEED for Homes provider. I still got a little bit on the previous slide, I'll let you know. They require a LEED for Homes green rater that verifies items of the home. They require a HERS rater. And what that is, I'll tell you in a minute here. But we also do a lot of other stuff, Energy Star, LEED for Homes, of course. And of course, why LEED for Homes is very important to Cincinnati is we have that tax abatement. And if you are building a home, if you are rehabbing a home, a gut rehab, you want to talk to somebody like us because of that tax abatement. There's been studies that say for a very, very small premium, basically to go LEED, you can really make your money off in the tax abatement. And if you're interested in that, just put in Google Cincinnati tax abatement and you can find all kinds of good information on that. We're downtown Cincinnati, but we have a branch of Cleveland, but we've worked in 5, 6, 7 states now. So before we go on, one important thing I want to talk about today is the importance of what we are. We are an independent third party. We are not your builder building your home and saying, yeah, that's a green home because I did these things. We are not your HVAC contractor installing the work and saying, oh yeah, your ducts don't leak. The importance of an independent third party, and the HERS rater is part of that too, cannot be understated for really this kind of purpose and getting teams to their goal and actually having a certified home and a legitimacy of that, because a big problem in the industry of, you might be familiar with it, is like greenwashing. And we have research staff that researches the products that go in your home. So we're not using that product because that manufacturer says it's green and puts their sticker on it. Lead for Homes, and I'll talk about this in a minute, really dug through a lot of the greenwashing, and they have their own criteria of environmentally preferable projects or products that you can use and get points for. So next slide. So we'll show you the checklist. One of the things that Lead for Homes really got right was it's not just you build the home and you got to do a lot of documentation per se. Some other green programs are like that. Lead for Homes has this checklist that's a really great project management tool throughout before you build as a design exercise. When you start, when you go through, and we actually have to visit the home 2 times when there's a insulation is in, but before drywall to check it out. And then when the home is done, and sometimes a retest. But this checklist that Lead came up with was really a kind of innovative in a way. And you'll see the checklist in later pages. You might see there were some challenges to getting to, we needed 102 points for platinum then, but it really shows the importance of design and planning, and then visiting the site and updating that checklist and researching products and seeing, did we get those points we were going for? Or finally at the end, we test it. Did we hit some of these targets? Yeah, we did. We're going target. Or maybe we need to check something out, or maybe we need to do something else. So some of the highlights you'll see in a minute. Like we really picked a great site. We knocked out all the points there for being in a good location and being connected to transit and open space. And why pick a site out in the middle of a virgin land? Lead can reward you if you pick a site that might be previously developed or near those kind of resources and stuff like that. We did mention
neighborhood.
Yeah, we mentioned we almost knocked it out of the park on water efficiency. I'll show you a few things that we did there. Did quite good and various other things, and we even got a point for back then. Chuck wrote this article, and part of what we're doing today and what we are working with USGBC is awareness and education, telling people about how we got this project to Lead, telling people about Lead for Homes, and that. So next slide. And you can go through these slides fairly quickly. It just gives you a nice visual. We needed 102, and at that beginning stage, we were at 99, and some maybe points that we really had to, figure out. Can we get these, or are they maybe points because we don't know until the end? Well, let's plan for more things. Planning is really important. So you can scroll through these really quickly. It was just a visual, show people a little bit like what the checklist is. And this is a simple version. There's actually a much longer one that has a rating system backing it up that tells project teams like how you actually achieve all those. So yeah, I mentioned the location was ideal. Perfect, really. The team really wanted to limit indoor water use. Every criteria that was in that category was like the highest efficiency for that rating system. So lav faucets, shower heads, toilets, they were all EPA WaterSense. And by the way, I really like to promote the EPA WaterSense program, not just for flow rates, but it's also criteria like customer satisfaction for that product, price, availability, maybe. And it's something, anybody really can look at. You're looking to replace your faucet, look for WaterSense. The irrigation, you saw some really nice photos of it above. I wish I had those. I had a few, our raters did take a few, but this project had a very high efficiency, zoned. And mind you, that makes a lot of sense too. If you have a lot of different, areas with different water use or water needs or different plants. So we zone it. It has the irrigation system as moisture sensor, so it doesn't irrigate when it, rained yesterday. But also, and this was pretty uncommon for many projects at the time, to even lower that demand on the irrigation and new water use, there is a rainwater harvesting system. Something like greater than 50% of the roof actually collects off and uses that water also. So yeah, next slide. I might have on HERS index, and I used to do this when we do in person. I'd say raise your hand if you've heard of that. So if you've not and you want some homework, hersindex.com will explain it much better than I can. In very short, it's a independent third-party verification to the ResNet standard, which was adopted by the housing industry. No, the realtor industry. You have to have training to be a HERS index rater. You have to have backgrounds and stuff like that. It's sort of a miles per gallon sticker for a home, allowing you to compare multiple homes in an existing home, a new home somewhere else. But in this case, lower is better. So if you can see that up there, they're actually changing a little bit. But for the time, new homes were around 100-ish. This home got to a very good 55. New construction, new code might be 90, 80 somewhere now. But by the way, this home was very, very tight too. The energy code for Ohio back when this was permitted was 7 ACH, and that's air changes per hour. So I like to pause on that. Think what that is. That's every time you heat or cool the air in your home, that many times per hour, it's just going outside. So LEED and many other green programs really have a focus on saving energy. So this was very tight. We tested it because that's part of the system, what we do. But the other thing I want to pause on, you might have heard back in the day, the homes need to breathe. Well, they kind of did back then, but we build better now. We know how to build tighter homes to save energy. We know how to air seal. We know how to use insulation properly. So that tight home, and I'll show you a picture of what the equipment is, we need mechanical ventilation, but we don't need a lot of it. We need a very specific amount to an ASHRAE standard, and we test it to make sure it's doing what the HVAC contractor, said it was supposed to do. So this is highly insulated home. Joe was talking about how quiet it is. Well, there's some reason for that too. It was a closed cell foam and batt insulation. And it's not too common to do that, but batt and flash is what they call it. But for a 2x4 cavity or a 2x6 cavity, you're actually getting a lot more R value than just the batt alone. So you can see here, the R value for the walls were 21, 27, and energy code back then was around R13, and the roof highly insulated too. So next slide.
Hey, Chuck, can I tell you something just to reiterate the efficiency of the home? If I did even billing with Duke, it would be $250 a month.
And what's the square
amazing.
footage of the home?
53.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. No, that's good to hear. We want to hear that too, because it also, you might see that HERS index, part of that HERS index is doing that as a projected to see, what that score might be, to see what your bills might be. And it's a design exercise. So do we want to change equipment? Do we want to do different insulation? You can see a lot of that, and it even predicts energy bills to a certain extent. So you might have noticed there's a lot of windows. So part of the design exercise was actually picking out specification for those windows to, counteract the amount of them, U value, SHGC value. You might see those. This home is conditioned by, I think, a pair of them, a pair of very high air source heat pumps. And by the way, you might be familiar with the heat pumps. You might have had one growing up, but the ones they're making now are really kind of evolved technology. There's a lot of stigma about heat pumps it gets cold, they don't work. Not really true these days. They do work. They just become a little efficient, and they can work down to something like -30, -40 degrees. So not really concerned, very efficient. But I understand a lot of people do want the confidence of having backup heat. So there was 2 gas furnace backups for this home, and you can do that. It's kind of a dual fuel approach too. So initially we installed, we didn't install a project team. They did a hybrid electric heat pump water heater, which is the most efficient option right now. it's really a heat pump. So the efficiency is greater than 1 in a sense, just like the conditioning, and it uses electric when it needs to, and all kinds of really good stuff like that. If you're interested in those, they do need a little bit of space around them. Don't put them in a little closet. The air circulates through them and takes some of the conditioned air you're already paying for from your home and uses it to heat the water. So very cool. This, we also, you can see we have a piece of equipment there that's testing the duct system. And that duct system was also very, very tight. Less than 2% of that conditioned air. It's a long story about the metric, but it's a percentage of the conditioned air related to the square footage of the home is leaking to basically outside the home. So in the old days, you know, you wouldn't do any air sealing. We've tested existing homes, and sometimes 20% of it for existing home might be leaking into your attic or something. So really tight. Next slide. I think the next one. Yeah, we hit on, so I mentioned how Lead for Homes really come up with a unified criteria for environmental preferable products. So we're kind of getting away from that problem of greenwashing. So we used low VOC products, some of the VAT, some of the drywall. PEX plumbing is efficient in a different way, which is interesting. The paint, of course, paint, low VOC. You don't want to smell paint for 3 months after you move in. The project team and the waste contract actually managed to divert a very high percent of construction waste out of landfills. They were able to, you know, mulch wood or divert drywall scraps and stuff like that. So I did mention that we needed mechanical ventilation. We had a energy recovery ventilator, an ERV here, and the airflow is tested and verified to that ASHRAE standard, which uses the occupants of the home, the square footage of the home. It runs basically continuously, which you might think is a bad thing. You're losing energy, losing conditioning, but no, they're very efficient. They also filter your air, which ERVs are really good for a lot of people nowadays have allergies. I have allergies. My boss has allergies. If you have asthma, this continuous filtration is a really good indoor air quality strategy. We also actually had occupancy sensors on the bath fans and garage fans to have them ramp up when things are detected, like occupants, or I think the garage sensor might be on a CO detector. I'm not sure. So you can actually see it. That's the piece of ERV on the left of the furnace. And I think they did 1 or 2 of them. A lot of different varieties of ERVs. So next slide. And thank you. I think that's all I had, but if we have time at the end, hopefully I didn't take up too much time. I'm happy to answer any kind of technical questions, lead questions, Cincinnati tax abatement questions, maybe. So thank you all.
Thanks, James. So now Joe's going to give us a live tour of the home. There's Joe coming up.
Mary Ellen, there's a way to make Joe like pinned, right?
Yes, I have pinned him.
Okay. And if everybody's seeing like a bunch of tiles, there's a way just to make him larger too, isn't there? Okay,
There
that
you
worked
go.
for me. Thank you.
And you're muted, Joe.
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. Wow.
All right, just a moment. There you go.
We're getting a little feedback.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of my, there you go.
Ah, okay.
I'll get further away.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
We can. Are you starting off on the top floor?
It's kind of weird because
Oh, no, you're on the second. Joe, can you hear us?
The audio is not working on my phone. Hang on.
We can hear you.
That's all that counts.
Okay, there you go. Just kind of guide us through.
I did turn on the fireplace to give you guys a sense of the space.
That must be a wonderful view to have.
I don't think anybody's complaining. Now, if Aubrey is motivated, she can probably add some color to the design aspect of it, since that was something she really was the lead on. I'll take credit, but really don't know that I'm the right one.
Did you want to say some
I'll
things,
ask
Aubrey?
Aubrey to unmute if she'd like. And if she'd like to, she can.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Fantastic. Oh, it's so good to see the house. Gosh, let's see here. I made some notes while we were talking earlier, or while you were talking earlier, thinking back to jog my mind. It's been over 5 years since we started this process. You know, from a design perspective, we sort of start every project, you know, meeting with the owners. Janet and Joe and I met, I feel like nearly 10 years ago now, working on their first home in Indian Hill. So when it came to this one, fortunately, we already had a great sense of kind of how our team would collaborate together, and sort of a set precedent already for the design. But we started this one with a look, tone, and feel, which is something that that helps to set kind of a established design palette while we're kind of going through what are the right choices from finishes and materiality. And a couple of things that I wrote down that were important to us. Obviously, the play of light in the home. I think having bright, naturally lit spaces is so important. Sort of the contrast between light and dark, I think, is a recurring theme in the home. I think looking for a solution that felt both warm and modern and always timeless. We wanted to showcase the beauty and authenticity in the materials, maybe by showcasing some of these neat staircase details. Actually is perfect timing for that. But planning things that had interesting joinery or like a high level of craft. And then the use of handcrafted and natural materials was really a heavy theme within the palette. So natural wood, stone, plaster, marble, the concrete, sort of unlacquered brass, leather, textiles, and texture through pattern is something that was just really important to you know, my design team and both Janet and Joe. And you know, the entire project was really guided by Janet's artful vision. They had spent a lot of time traveling, as Joe mentioned earlier, a lot of time visiting in New York with their son. And we tried to bring that influence into this house. Yeah, if anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, you did a wonderful job with the design, and their son was a curated the art in the house.
Yeah, I think it was a really great collaboration on this project. And it's one of my favorite projects that we've been involved with. It's sometimes unusual to get to design or select both the exterior finishes, the interior finishes, as well as then, you know, also planning for the furniture and textiles layer. We typically don't get to hit on all of the pieces. But
Yeah,
in
that's
this
what I
project,
liked
we
about this
did.
home, was how every part of the home was Janet's vision and worked with you and Mike. It's my favorite project too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it just feels very artful. It feels at times, I think, like a high-end hotel, and yet very warm.
Well,
We'll also
Janet,
show your elevator detail.
Oh, yes.
It's quite nice.
Yeah, so it's a fabric wall covering that sort of had a men's suiting detail in that marble floor.
And somebody mentioned, I believe, I think, I don't have it handy, but we either got a whole point or half point for local interior wood trim, I believe, which was kind of exciting. Didn't see that very often. There you go.
Thank you. Good point. Yeah, there's a fair amount of wood here.
Yeah, I think the kitchen was one of the neatest parts of the house. Again, mentioning that marble detail. At the time in Cincinnati, the waterfall edge and detail had not quite been perfected yet by all of the installers. So we had to work a couple different times to find the right pieces of marble and stone that could work for all the areas that we had it. It was a fun challenge for both myself, the builder, and the homeowner to go on that path together.
I believe we also earned some points for, I think, either low or no. It might have been low VOC paint. So you had to probably specify, well, a lot of white, right? But probably some white,
Mhm.
blacks, and maybe some other colors. I'm not sure.
I think the entire house is white with the exception of areas that are wallpapered.
That's true. It's exactly the same color everywhere.
Which I think, given the way that the furnishings and other surrounding materials were designed, it still feels fresh and quite warm. Sometimes white can make a space feel unfinished, but I don't feel that way about this home.
Oh, perfect day for a tour. Looks beautiful.
One more floor, and then we can go outside if you want, or whatever is appropriate.
Well, this is quite the party house, you know, that's what I was all about, Frank, Party House Right, so.
Now go to the lower level. These are some of the utilities that were mentioned earlier. Have an exercise area. Another sitting room. Another bedroom.
I love the tile treatments that you've done in each of the baths. They're so unique, each one of them. That is very beautiful.
Thank you.
So somebody was wanting to see the ERVs again. So the energy recovery units, is that?
All right, I'll be right there. And here's our little safe room, so to speak, because there's plenty of concrete above and steel everywhere. So ERV coming your way. It's right there.
So this, exchange the heat from the home as it gets ventilated. So if the warm moist air goes out, it brings some the cold air and it warms the cold air as it comes back into the house.
We had, we did add a humidifier.
$200 a month on even billing. That's fabulous for
Pretty
such a
amazing,
large
actually.
home.
Incredibly impressive.
And being so tightly air sealed, there's no drafts in the house.
No, there are no drafts. Did you guys want to look outside? I mean, I'm happy to
Yeah,
walk outside.
sure. We're running early here. Let's take a look at this beautiful landscape in the front yard.
The lilacs came to life this year, so they're really nice.
Oh, so the garden is just starting to reach its
Yeah,
full
just-
potential.
Right. We took us a couple years, but it's starting to really. It's really.
At the edge of your Wi-Fi.
Winter kind of did it. So. We good? We good?
Good.
Joe, we had a question about geothermal. Was that ever part of the thought process or plan?
Yeah, with the consultation from GBC, they felt, and certainly with Mike Wentz and the HVAC team, it was confirmed that approach, in terms of a return on investment, plus as it correlated back to points, it just didn't seem to make a lot of sense relative to the other things we were doing in the house. So
That's typical for a super insulated home like yours, R57 on the roof. That's pretty envious, Joe.
okay, I think that concludes the tour.
Fantastic. Anybody else? Oh, does anybody else have any questions? Feel free to open your mic, or you can put them in the chat. I'll ask our speakers to come online and come on camera.
Well, as I was saying earlier, of all the homes that I've toured, writing these lead for public awareness articles, the Bungee home was most intimately designed home that really reflected the homeowner's vision. It's just a really wonderful experience to see Janet's attention to detail and her vision come to life. It was a real pleasure to have gotten to write about this house, and I'm glad now that we can share it with everybody, and it'll live on with this video that we're recording.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll just do a little wrap up with our remaining times if nobody has any further questions. But you can, of course, continue to reach out. We'll provide you with all the contact information for all of our speakers, as well as the architect is on here as well. So the owner, thank you so much, Joe. We really appreciated the tour. Thank you, Aubrey, for pitching in and providing some design insights. And thanks to James for all the technical insights as well. And
somebody was asking about what windows are in the
go
home.
ahead. Sure.
Do you or Joe or James know what windows were used?
I think Joe just typed Pella. I don't have the specs. I typed in the chat. I think they were pretty good, around maybe 0.3U. They were fairly low. Lower is better for SHGC. That's the solar heat gain coefficient. Like I mentioned, that was fairly important when you had a lot of glazing, kind of limit a little bit of that, solar heat gain. So I think that was around 0.26 SHGC or so. I pulled those a few days ago, so I'm not sure, but
I
Any
have a
questions?
question also.
Hmm.
I thought at the beginning of the tour, there was a mention of precast concrete product involved in this design or construction. Is that the case? And if it is the case, what was the product and who manufactured it?
I think Joe is typing it was a cast in place, so maybe that was a typo or a misspoke. Precast is interesting. It's usually where you get the giant planks off somewhere else and you can do
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
ICFs are kind of like this approach. So I
So
don't believe
this-
we had that here.
Yeah, I can, sorry, I'm here now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we wanted to have concrete, we wanted to have poured form concrete like nobody's business, and we couldn't find a local contractor to do it. I mean, if we were actually doing that to construct this construction in Southern California, there would be, several options, but we
Right.
couldn't do it. So we ended up having to purchase effectively tile to be used on the stair detail by the front door all the way up. That is all tile that was masoned into place and then grouted. And then ultimately we painted and stained it into a uniform color. So that was all essentially tile work. All the concrete work in the planter boxes, that was all formed and poured on site.
Wow. What company did that?
Yeah, okay, hang on.
I'm
I give
keenly interested in concrete houses, so
Yeah,
that definitely
hear-
struck my attention.
I'll get that for you. I mean, one way
Okay.
or another. I mean,
Well, my compliments on an extraordinarily beautiful, well-appointed, well-executed demonstration of a green LEED home. And the LEED totally aside, you have an absolutely phenomenal, striking home. Thank you.
well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. And
I'll
I'll get you the contact for the concrete work. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Well,
Judith.
thanks for coming, Judith.
Yes, and we echo that. I mean, it is just a gorgeous home and so wonderful to hear all the green products and the efficiency of the home. That is just, amazing demonstration of what can be done locally here. So anyway, so yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any further questions. We do provide you with all the contact details, so please feel free to reach out to our folks. And we, as Chuck had mentioned, there's an article that goes into the design side of things. Feel free to reach out to us at USGBC Ohio as well and learn more about LEED for Residential. And we have a few more tours coming up in the fall. We're off for the summer, but we have the Sykes residence, I believe, is that October, Chuck? And then
Yes.
Fowler House in December.
Yeah,
So
the Sykes
Sykes-
residence will be an in-person tour.
great. Yes, we will be in person after June 15th. We're allowed to be in person. So we're excited to have that Sykes opportunity to be there. We'll try to record it for the people that are out of the region, but it will be in person.
Chuck,
Okay.
thank you. You really bring them home. Thanks.
So thank you all for attending. Thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you to Joe for opening up his home to us. We really appreciate it. Thanks to Chuck for bringing this all together, and James and Aubrey, thank you for speaking today.
Thank you, Mary Ellen.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one of these.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.